What if the weight gain, the mood swings, the brain fog, and the exhaustion you have been quietly blaming on aging are not signs of decline, but signals from a deeper system inside you asking for attention? For years, menopause has been described almost entirely through the lens of hormones, as if the story begins and ends with estrogen and progesterone. Yet beneath the surface of hot flashes and shifting cycles, another transformation unfolds in silence, one that most women never hear about. Inside your gut lives a vast community of trillions of microorganisms, a living ecosystem known as the microbiome. And this internal world is deeply connected to your hormones, your metabolism, your immune system, and even your emotional stability. When estrogen levels begin to decline during menopause, this ecosystem shifts as well, and the effects can ripple through your entire body in ways that feel confusing and unexpected. The truth is that menopause and gut health are intertwined more closely than many realize. As estrogen decreases, the diversity and balance of gut bacteria can change, sometimes reducing beneficial strains that help regulate inflammation and support metabolic efficiency. When microbial diversity declines, inflammatory markers may rise, and the body can become more prone to storing fat around the abdomen. This is why so many women notice a change in weight distribution after 40, even if their eating habits and exercise routines have not dramatically shifted. It is not simply about willpower or discipline. It is about biology adapting to a new hormonal landscape. The microbiome influences how calories are extracted from food, how blood sugar is regulated, and how appetite signals are processed. When its balance changes, metabolism can feel slower, cravings can intensify, and energy levels can fluctuate in ways that seem almost unfair. But the connection goes even deeper. The gut is often called the second brain because it produces and regulates neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, which influence mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. When microbial balance shifts during menopause, mood swings, anxiety, and even episodes of sadness can become more common. Brain fog, that frustrating sense of mental cloudiness, may also be linked to increased inflammation and altered gut-brain communication. Digestive discomfort, bloating, and irregularity can add another layer of frustration. It can feel as though your body is no longer predictable, as though the internal stability you once relied on has been replaced by uncertainty. This is where suspense quietly enters the story. Many women begin to wonder if this is simply how life will feel from now on. They question whether the vitality they once experienced is gone for good. They may try stricter diets, longer workouts, or harsher self-criticism, only to find that the results do not match the effort. The scale inches upward. Sleep becomes lighter. Patience feels thinner. And beneath it all, there is a silent fear that control has been lost. Yet what if this transition is not a loss, but a recalibration? The microbiome is not fixed or permanent. It is dynamic and responsive, shaped daily by the foods you eat, the stress you manage, the sleep you protect, and the movement you prioritize. Fiber-rich vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and colorful fruits feed beneficial bacteria that produce compounds known to calm inflammation and support metabolic balance. Polyphenols from berries, green tea, and deeply colored plants nourish microbial diversity. Consistent sleep and stress regulation protect the gut lining from disruption. Strength training preserves lean muscle mass, helping stabilize blood sugar and maintain metabolic rate during hormonal change. Understanding menopause and gut bacteria. Why weight gain and mood changes happen. After 40 shifts the narrative from self-blame to self-awareness. It reminds you that your body is not betraying you. It is adapting. When you learn how hormones and microbes interact, confusion gives way to clarity. Instead of fighting your biology, you begin working with it. Instead of fearing change, you start responding strategically. And in that shift from confusion to understanding, you reclaim a powerful sense of agency that transforms menopause from a mystery into a meaningful new chapter of resilience and growth. Awareness is powerful, but awareness without action leaves potential untapped, and this is the moment where understanding must turn into intention. Once you recognize that menopause reshapes your gut microbiome, you begin to see that every daily choice becomes a biological message. Your body is no longer something happening to you, it is something responding to you. The decline in estrogen may initiate change, but your habits determine the direction of that change. The microbiome thrives on diversity, consistency, and nourishment, yet modern routines often work against those principles. Processed foods, chronic stress, inconsistent sleep, and long hours of sitting narrow microbial variety and increase inflammation, creating a terrain where menopausal symptoms feel amplified rather than manageable. The empowering truth is that the same sensitivity that makes this stage challenging also makes it responsive to improvement. When you increase plant diversity in your meals, you are not simply eating healthier, you are cultivating resilience inside your gut. Different fibers feed different bacterial strains, and the more variety you introduce, the stronger and more balanced your internal ecosystem becomes. Fermented foods add beneficial bacteria that can help restore microbial equilibrium. Adequate protein intake supports muscle preservation, which becomes critical as estrogen declines and metabolic rate naturally shifts. Resistance training sends a message to your body that strength is still required, protecting bone density, stabilizing blood sugar, and reducing inflammatory signaling. Even walking after meals can improve glucose regulation and digestive motility, supporting both metabolic and gut health in subtle but meaningful ways. Stress management becomes more than a luxury during this transition. It becomes a necessity. Elevated cortisol can disrupt the gut lining and encourage inflammatory bacteria to dominate. Mindful breathing, meditation, journaling, or time in nature are not superficial wellness trends but biological interventions that protect microbial balance. Sleep, often disrupted during menopause, plays a central role in immune regulation and hormonal recalibration. Protecting your sleep schedule becomes an act of metabolic defense. Hydration supports nutrient transport and digestion. Sunlight exposure reinforces circadian rhythms that influence both hormones and gut bacteria. Nothing operates in isolation, and menopause reveals how interconnected these systems truly are. Still, there is a quiet tension in this phase of change. Doubt can creep in when results are not immediate. You may commit to healthier meals and consistent movement, yet the scale does not shift overnight. Mood fluctuations may persist for weeks before stabilizing. Energy may improve gradually rather than dramatically. This is the suspenseful middle of the journey, where patience is tested and old habits whisper familiarity. It is tempting to revert to extreme diets or punishing exercise routines in search of faster results, but extremes often backfire by increasing stress and reducing microbial diversity even further. The microbiome responds to patterns, not to short bursts of intensity. Consistency, not perfection, drives adaptation. As weeks turn into months, subtle shifts begin to accumulate. Inflammation decreases, digestion feels steadier, cravings lose some of their urgency as blood sugar stabilizes. Sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. Emotional resilience strengthens as neurotransmitter balance improves. Abdominal bloating softens. The body begins to feel less reactive and more cooperative. These changes may not be dramatic enough to draw attention from others, but internally, they represent a profound recalibration. You are no longer chasing youth, you are building longevity. Menopause and gut bacteria. Why weight gain and mood changes happen after 40 becomes more than a scientific explanation. It becomes a roadmap. It shows that the body is adaptable when supported strategically. It reminds you that aging does not eliminate vitality. Neglect does. By choosing nourishment over restriction, strength over punishment, and rest over relentless pressure, you align with your biology instead of fighting against it. The transition stops feeling like an unpredictable storm and begins to feel like a navigable path. And in that shift from reaction to intention, confidence quietly returns, grounded not in appearance, but in resilience and informed self-leadership. Understanding menopause and gut bacteria. Why weight gain and mood changes happen. After 40 shifts the narrative from self-blame to self-awareness. It reminds you that your body is not betraying you. It is adapting. When you learn how hormones and microbes interact, confusion gives way to clarity. Instead of fighting your biology, you begin working with it. Instead of fearing change, you start responding strategically. And in that shift from confusion to understanding, you reclaim a powerful sense of agency that transforms menopause from a mystery into a meaningful new chapter of resilience and growth. By the time you fully embrace this understanding, something deeper than symptom relief begins to take shape. You realize that menopause is not merely a hormonal milestone, but a transformational threshold, a moment that calls you to elevate the way you care for your body and mind. The microbiome, once invisible and overlooked, becomes a powerful ally in this evolution. You start to see that vitality after 40 is not accidental. It is cultivated. Every nourishing meal, every strength training session, every intentional breath becomes a declaration that your health is worth protecting. Instead of viewing this stage as a slow fading of energy, you begin to recognize it as an invitation to refine your habits with wisdom and clarity. The body continues to adapt throughout life, and the microbiome remains dynamic, capable of shifting in response to consistent, supportive inputs. When you prioritize fiber-rich plants, fermented foods, quality protein, restorative sleep, and stress regulation, you are shaping an internal environment that favors stability over chaos. Inflammation quiets, blood sugar steadies, mood fluctuations soften, cognitive clarity improves. These improvements may unfold gradually, but they build a foundation that supports not just the present moment, but the decades ahead. The focus shifts from temporary fixes to sustainable resilience. You are no longer trying to reverse time. You are building strength for the future. There is also a psychological transformation that occurs when knowledge replaces confusion. For years, many women internalized the narrative that midlife meant inevitable decline, shrinking possibilities, and fading relevance. But when you understand how menopause and gut health intersect, that narrative begins to unravel. You see that your body is not malfunctioning, it is recalibrating. The weight redistribution, the digestive changes, the mood shifts are not punishments, but signals guiding you toward alignment. With each informed decision, you reinforce trust in your body's intelligence. That trust fuels confidence, and that confidence extends beyond physical health into every area of life. In the middle of this empowerment, however, another layer of suspense can surface. The world still moves quickly. Responsibilities remain demanding. Stress does not disappear simply because you have gained awareness. There will be days when sleep is disrupted, when cravings resurface, when exercise feels inconvenient, when doubt whispers that the effort is too much. The difference now is perspective. Instead of spiraling into frustration, you recognize these moments as temporary fluctuations rather than permanent failures. The microbiome responds to patterns, and one imperfect day does not erase consistent progress. You recalibrate, you return to your habits, you continue building resilience. Menopause and gut bacteria. Why weight gain and mood changes. Happen after 40 ultimately becomes a story about agency. It teaches that while hormonal shifts are natural, suffering in confusion is not inevitable. You have influence over inflammation. You have influence over microbial diversity. You have influence over metabolic stability and emotional balance. This influence is not absolute control, but it is meaningful power. It is the power of informed action repeated over time. It is the power of understanding your biology rather than fearing it. As you move forward, midlife transforms into a period of intentional strength. You set goals not based on appearance, but on energy, mobility, clarity, and longevity. You nourish your body not out of restriction, but out of respect. You prioritize recovery without guilt. You build muscle because strength is protective. You manage stress because calmness safeguards your internal ecosystem. You approach each decade with preparation instead of apprehension. In doing so, you redefine what aging looks and feels like. This journey is not about perfection, but about participation. It is about stepping into the role of active architect of your health. When you understand the gut hormone connection, menopause becomes less of a mystery and more of a meaningful turning point. You are not losing vitality, you are learning how to preserve and refine it. And with that clarity comes a steady confidence that carries you forward with resilience and purpose. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early. Understanding menopause and gut bacteria. Why weight gain and mood changes happen. After 40 shifts the narrative from self-blame to self-awareness. It reminds you that your body is not betraying you. It is adapting. When you learn how hormones and microbes interact, confusion gives way to clarity. Instead of fighting your biology, you begin working with it. Instead of fearing change, you start responding strategically. And in that shift from confusion to understanding, you reclaim a powerful sense of agency that transforms menopause from a mystery into a meaningful new chapter of resilience and growth.